Hello and welcome to another episode of the Underhive Lorekeepers podcast. Now, I've recently made a fantastic discovery of something called slam poetry, and this episode's opening will be done in the form of a slam poem. Hey, Scummers! Welcome back to another episode of the Underhive Lorekeepers podcast, where the sump is deep, the ammo is low, and the opinions are somehow lower. I am Spamuel, that's right, Captain Delicious himself. Voice cracking through the Vox static like a malfunctioning servitor, dragged out of Hive Primus on payday. And to my right, because legally he cannot be trusted on the left, it's Nathan, returned once again from whatever forbidden corner of the Underhive, ash wastes, or suspiciously cheap tavern he wandered into this week. So tell me, buddy, how are ya? You surviving? Thriving? You still one bad dice roll away from becoming corpse starch? Because tonight, we descend once more into the dark, deep, dirty Underhive. I recently watched 22 Jump Street and that scene of Jonah Hill doing the slam poem. And honestly, I was like, what's the dumbest thing I can do for an opening? And then, I wrote a slam poem. So, how are you, buddy?
It's fantastic. I thought to myself, like, do I jump in on this and try and add to it? But I had very, very low expectations of when you said I was going to do slam poetry. Just then, I was like, oh dear, that's okay.
Yeah,
we've had people announce that they don't want to listen to us, and this is just like other potential bits of ammunition that you could give to them. But no, it was fantastic. It has affected me. It has grown on me. It has given me inspiration.
Yeah, I like to think of myself as the sixth chaos god. I am Spamuel, the god of emotional support disasters.
Still higher on the list than Malal.
Yeah. Weirdly enough, I got Lorgar, so that's where I am. So how are you?
Am I?
Yes, how are you? You're still away.
I'm still away. I'm still busy. I'm still just being driven from pillar to post in terms of how much time I have available to me. So it has been. It's been an effort the last, I would say, nearly 3 months now.
Yep.
But I think, and I'm hoping it's not a train, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. But it's probably a train. But I'm starting to see a little bit of hope, a little bit of potential, like ending to this constant, like just going from here and doing this and what have you. So I'm well. I'm very well in terms of like my mind state and my physical sense. And
yes.
What about yourself?
I'm good. I'll be honest, I miss you. It's people don't realise that Nathan and I usually talk a lot, but because he's working away, he's working longer days, so I have to talk to like other people in my life, people I really have no interest in talking to, like my co-workers, my family, my children.
I was going to say, how is your wife? But
yeah, she's resentful. Also, speaking of which, I have a bone to pick with you. Listeners, and we will be keeping this as a short episode. So
it sounds like it.
A couple of people have said, "Hey, your last few episodes have all been quite short." Yeah. Why is that? At which point I sort of go, Nathan's away, so he's up for like longer periods of time at work. So we have to keep our episodes shorter typically because apparently it's dangerous for him to do his job while, tired. So we're doing shorter episodes. So we've sort of said, hey, why don't we make sure we keep the opening shorter and that sort of thing. So instead of doing that, I have a bone to pick with you. So
great idea.
One of the reasons Nathan is so short on time, obviously, because he's working away, but he's also, Nathan and his wife selling their home and looking for another home. And I was talking about that with my wife. Yes. So now she's sending me like houses. And she's like, oh, I could really see us in this house. What do you... what are you talking about? What do you mean you could see us in this house? She's like, why don't we go to the open house on the weekend? It was like, no.
But we live in a house.
I like our house. She goes, yeah, but like, we could do this and this, and so I've put my foot down. I said, no, I don't want to go to house inspections.
Yeah, yeah.
So next Saturday we go to a house inspection.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah,
excellent.
So
lucky you.
You've done this to me because I was talking about you selling your house.
So I have said to anybody that will listen, moving out of my house and putting stuff into storage and so forth has just been an absolutely horrible process. So time consuming, so arduous, and a lot of people say, well, why don't you just get removalists? It's not as simple as that. You just the accumulation of stuff and working out what to actually pack away. And so if we were moving into another house, it's completely different. But to have to put it into storage and then just really sort of minimize what you can take, it's just a horrible, arduous process. And I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. But
you're wishing it on me.
Hope you have to move out soon. It'll be wonderful.
I don't miss you anymore. I don't. Yeah.
Well, look, mate, I'm just giving the audience what they want. They want somebody to take down the guy who brought slam poetry into their life.
Necromunda slam poetry it's going to revolutionise the genre.
I think so. I think, if we see any more big reveals for Necromunda in the next 18 months, it'll be about the, Hive slam poetry. Or
Hive slam poetry. Honestly, that's it. The next book is just going to be a book of poems, and you have to somehow interpret the scenario and gang from that.
Yeah.
Okay, first, gang idea. Okay, sorry, we will compress this, but gang idea. Imagine a group of wandering minstrels who travel from settlement to settlement and set up impromptu slam poetry gatherings. And
fantastic.
They all gather there, and so they're doing their slam poetry, but what's actually happening is there a chaos cult of Slanesh? So they managed to lure people away to join their slam poetry group, but then they sacrifice them and try and bring demonettes into the Underhive?
I was going to say, and then you have a separate group, preferably from the Inquisition or Inquisitional line, who are called the Dead Poets Society, and they hunt down...
stop!
these so-called poets so that they can make them dead.
They slam that poetry. Both of them would be obviously Venator gangs. Okay, so we need to
doing an episode.
We need to tighten this up. We got to tighten this up. So we are doing a follow-up to our last Necromunda episode where we were talking about some of the named gang-specific Dramatis Personae. And going from that, we were going to, I think we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 Goliath Dramatis Personae left. Yeah. We're going to jump into them. Now, listeners, I promise you, as soon as Nathan is back, we have some absolute mamma jammer episodes planned. So don't worry, they are coming. And at the same time, we are also on the weekends still doing all of our additional Patreon stuff. So if you do enjoy the show and you are interested in supporting the podcast, please shoot over to patreon.com/the Underhive Lorekeepers podcast. We are 100% funded by the goodwill of our audience, though we do this for the love of our slam poetry. Now, each month we have a Patreon-exclusive episode, as well as competitions, polls on episodes, and other bonus content. If you are looking for another way to support us, get onto our social media, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. A like, comment, and subscribe helps us grow and gets our particular brand of lore out into the world. All of our links will be in the show notes, and don't forget to give us a 5-star review on your preferred podcast platform. And we do merch. I'm thinking some slam poetry themed t-shirts.
Slam poetry merch, berets is the next thing we're going to get involved in.
Berets and really thin mustaches.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just reiterating your point, about the episodes. We are aware, and it's at the forefront of our minds. So just be safe in the knowledge that we will get back to some traditional Lorekeeper style episodes in the not too distant future. Just bear with us for the moment, and thank you for your patience, I guess.
We might do an episode on just purely on. A lot of people were like, "Can you actually do an episode on Dante?" And I was like, "No, no," because that'll be the thing that ruins our friendship. Because you genuinely love the Blood Angels, so.
Well, I love them more, I guess, in 30k than I do in 40k. So it would be an interesting take, I think.
Oh, so I can do an episode on Dante and how I think he's actually just quite lazy. He's just become a crotchety old man.
Yeah, let's have that discussion, and then we'll see what happens with all the Blood Angel players out there. You just have people just messaging you like, "I know who you are, Horus." Like, sorry, my name's Samuel. No, you're Horus.
No, Horus. We know where you live. No, you don't. I just hear this knocking on the garage door.
Yeah.
Horus. Just like the Warriors scene with the bottles. Yeah. Horus, come out to play.
Yeah, exactly that. I can just imagine Horus. Your wife's just like, look, I'm happy to lose you to this. Like,
get him.
This is too much. Yeah,
get him. And right as they're closing in on me, she pops her head over, looks me dead in the eyes, and goes, "For the Emperor." And I went, "No."
That final moment where she finally recognizes your hobby and like gives it some credence. It's just like, for the Emperor. It's always been for the Emperor.
It's always been for the Emperor.
Dragged off in guys in just like black tracksuit with like red spray painted crosses on them.
Honestly, it like Russian gangsters from the mid-90s.
Yeah, I'd love it. I would absolutely love it. That's
I'm here
brilliant.
for it. Anyway, we need to keep this tight.
Yes.
So,
we failed so far, so continue. Yep.
We are going to look at some more Goliath Dramatis Personae. So I'm actually going to start us off there. We're going to jump into the first one. Happy fella by the name of Attilus the Axe, Goliath pit tyrant bounty hunter. Goliath fighters take to the pit like rats take to carrion. Most end their days bleeding out on the arena floor or moving on to lead gangs, or don the mantle of an alpha. But for some, the pit becomes home. Attilus the Axe have been the reigning champion of the House of Pain arena for over 100 great cycles, far longer than any to come before him. A forge master from the fist of Hive Primus, Attilus began his life bent over a lathe anvil, crafting brute cleavers and renderizers for the clan. When the great Goliath blacksmith forged his masterpiece, a chain-axed cyberarm of prodigious size and sharpness, he trusted no one but himself to test the blade in the pit. Dubbed the God Cleaver, Attilus hacked off his own arm so he could fix the monstrosity in place, turning himself into as savage a pit fighter as the clan had ever seen. Attilus and his arm drew huge crowds from Hive City, and over a gruesome season of murder, Attilus rose to become the star pit fighter of the House of Pain, turning the arena red with his kills. The Spider Twins, Willowfex the Reaper, and the slave Ogren Hammerstein all fell to God Cleaver. Huge sums were offered for beasts from Hive Bottom just to test Attilus's skills, and led to the pit fighter earning a new title, Attilus the Undefeated. These days, Attilus still fights in the pits, but can be coaxed away by a Goliath gang for the right price. Serious question. What if it didn't work after he'd hacked his arm off?
I knew that would be the key talking point. And for me, I'm just thinking to myself, like, you know, the line between Orc and Goliath can sometimes get pretty blurry. And Attilus
sometimes it's not a line; it's just those two circles. Like,
just two circles. But I do like the idea that he's hacked off his arm. Are you saying he does? Does he still even get the chainsawed arm onto his like remaining stump, or are you saying that doesn't even work?
No, well, I've now got a different science. So, firstly, what if he hacked off the wrong arm? Like it's built for a right arm, but he hacked off the left, or it's built for a left arm and he hacked off the right. Or like, what if he connected it and he's just like, oh, I didn't charge it. Damn.
Then it would be such a Goliath thing to do that they'd just be like, yeah. No, fair enough. You know, he's not an idiot. He's just he's better built for the blacksmith forge rather than the fighting pits. No, I like the idea that he attaches the arm and it just goes all to poo. You know, it doesn't work, splutters out, it's just a total mess. That's the way I see it taking hold in my head, and I think it would be quite hilarious. But I don't think it would even have an impact on like certain members of House Goliath, and especially somebody like Attilus, where it would be just simply like, okay, well that didn't go as planned. I need to build something to help enhance the stump. It's almost like that orcified way of thinking about it, of like, oh, okay, that's gone absolutely downhill. Well, that's our new zero. We'll start and build up again from there. And that's the way I could see, especially like, you know, a forge master or somebody who's just constantly pouring their blood, sweat and tears into making weapons and machinery and attachments for House Goliath. They would just see that as like, okay, well, it's a slight setback. It's not an ideal scenario, but I will just create another thing to put in place of here. I will create a frag cannon that attaches to my arm or something like that, or the remnants of my arm. So I don't see the psyche of House Goliath going, oh, that. Like, you take something like House Escher, right? If you were to do something as extreme as remove a limb to replace it with something else, and it turned out you're just a garbage crap fighter, like blade work is just totally nonsense, you'd be shunned out of the house.
Yeah.
You're like, not only have you destroyed your aesthetic, you just also made us look ridiculous. Whereas House Goliath just be like, oh, Atlas bad, no good, crayon lunch, get back to work.
Well, it's like you can just imagine, like, yeah, it happens. He whacks the arm on, you know, presses the go button or pulls like the pull start, and it just splutters out. It's like, oh, okay. God Cleaver doesn't work. And this one Goliath leans over and he goes, well, Atlas, this is something we can really overcome. This is just the nadir of your current existence. And a bunch of these Goliath look at him and say, how do you know what nadir means? And it's like, I think it's like the lowest point of your life, or lowest point of this situation at this given point. And so he immediately just beats that Goliath to death with God Cleaver. He's like, it might not be running, but at the end of the day, it's still a very large hunk of metal that is there instead of my arm. Because, you know, how dare you use a word with so many syllables. It's like, did you just say and Attilus just looks at them and is like, oh, no.
He meant a silly bus.
Yeah.
Silly. How dare you use a silly bus? So, and not something that we do commonly on the show for the veteran listeners, but I just actually checked the stats of the weapon, just because it's called God Cleaver. Like,
yes,
you know, when we talk 40k, you instantly think the God Emperor or a Chaos God. So you're like, is it the weapon of them, or is it something that could kill them? So I went and had a quick look at the stats, and it gives you +2 strength and AP -2 and damage 2. It has pulverize, which I can never quite remember what that rule means, but it's not too bad. I think it's, you know, with the +2 strength on top of his already strength of 5, that would be a 7. So against a toughness 3 model, you only need like a 2+ to wound. You'd know that, wouldn't you?
Pulverize. After making an injury roll for an attack made by this weapon, the attacking player can roll a d6. If the result is equal to or higher than the target's toughness, or is a natural 6, they can change 1 injury dice from a flesh wound to a serious injury.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
So, you're Attilus, okay? And we don't usually do rules, but...
No, but it's called God Cleaver.
It's called God Cleaver.
What does that actually mean in the sense of the game? Yeah.
He's got 4 attacks, so God Cleaver and Stub Gun. So even if you split 50-50, and his weapon skill is 2+, so you're hitting with that thing. Like, if you roll a d6, in fact, I've got a d6 right here. This is weird. Talking rules and actually being able to roll them.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah.
so I roll this one, and that is an ammo dice.
Okay. This is why we don't do rules, folks.
Yeah, this is what I say. I've just rolled a 4, 3, 2, 4, 4. I'm rolling a lot of 4s. 5. Okay, so your average Escher, for example, is toughness 3. So every single one of those has, except for 1, has just caused the flesh wound to become a serious injury.
Yeah. So it's a very, very powerful weapon on the back end of like actually being able to deal damage. But as I said, making it strength 7 is incredibly powerful. But that's beyond the point. I think the going back to the actual lore side of it, it is the intimidating nature of seeing something like this also within the pit. So you got to think, this is a character that draws so much notoriety and fame within House Goliath, and I think the character would look massive in my opinion, but I'm not necessarily sure what kind of miniature or whatever you'd use for it. But the nature of seeing somebody like that within the pit, I think I'm trying to get a skirt around the point, but I'm just going to say it. It would almost be intimidating for other Goliath.
Yes,
just because this is something that's really almost tipping over to the pit fighter side of Necromunda, but it's also still very much a member of House Goliath, and I can imagine this wall of muscle with an arm completely replaced by what would look not only as something as a functional chainsawed, horrific looking arm, but I think also something that you could see that the quality was there in the build of it.
Yes.
It's something that has been smithed correctly, and the time and the effort and the concern has been taken into this thing, not just as this huge, ginormous bludgeoning weapon, but something that can actually provide, a sense of, and skill is probably the wrong word for it, but a sense of skill when using it. Whereas when you think about like orcs attaching massive chain axes to themselves, or chain blades and so forth, exactly what you were saying before, it's as much a bludgeoning weapon as a cutting weapon. Whereas this would almost have like a sort of a finesse. Actually, do you know what it's reminding me of? Sorry, I'm undermining my own conversation here, but I think it was I can't remember, I think the Normans or Saxons or whatever, and they had these great big two-handed axes. And
yes, the Danish axe.
Yeah, that's it. They would charge the opposing lines and they'd swing these axes, and there was just this sort of almost beautiful sort of ballet that they could achieve with the axe. So just like these arcs and swings and flights and so forth, and you could see the quality and the skill and the capacity and the ability of this person to be able to swing this weapon. But all in all, it was once that point of the axe hit, that's where the pain was delivered. That's where the death was delivered.
Yeah.
And that's what Attilus sort of reminds me of. It's like, okay, yes, very intimidating and scary figure and all that, but I think there would be just a real sort of mastery and martial skill that would go along with the way that he fought.
But you also need to remember, like, he's the champion of the House of Pain. He's he's the biggest and baddest champion ever. Like I said, he's been the champion for over 100 great cycles. Now, to make it to sort of put further into context what I'm about to talk about here, I'll go to an Apocrypha Necromundus, reading about the House of Pain. This is from way back when in 2020. It is not without good cause that Clan Goliath is known as the House of Chains. Hundreds of thousands of slaves infest the fist, toiling at all those tasks the Goliaths themselves are either ill-suited to or consider beneath them, be it sweeping or the boiling floors of the great factories, running the Medicahabs, or cleaning the intricate workings of a renderizer. To keep this slave population from choking to death on the thick atmosphere of the fist, something only Goliath's lungs can truly endure. Most slaves are shackled to their workstations by long, snaking breathing tubes. Groups of slaves may even be linked to the same tube network, making it easy for a Goliath to lead them about by simply hauling the rebreather unit on their back, the slaves trailing along behind like giant rats on a leash. This system also makes it easy for the Goliath to chastise a slave that might be slacking on the job. There's nothing more motivating than having your air ration cut up to up a production quota. The Goliaths are not especially cruel masters, however, and some say they lack the imagination to be truly sadistic towards their drudges, like some of the great houses are known to be. This, of course, doesn't extend to the Goliath's love of pit fighting, and it's almost inevitable that a slave owned by the House of Chains will at some point end up in the pits, and in the fist, that means a trip to the House of Pain. One of the largest arenas in Hive Primus, the House of Pain is a smoke-shrouded coliseum that echoes daily to the sound of roaring Goliath crowds and the screams of its combatants. It is a great honour for a Goliath to have fought in the House of Pain, and legends like Attilus the Axe made their name here, while even over-tyrant Varan Gore has painted its iron floor crimson with his chainblades. Ajax Gorgoth, the alpha of the fist, wisely keeps the House of Pain packed, lest his Goliath workers grow bored after a full cycle at the forge, and all manner of fighters grace the arena each evening shift. Some are mundane matches between poorly trained pit slaves, or augments like chrono gladiators, the crowd wagering if the gladiator will fell their opponent before the bomb strapped to their chest goes off. Others are more exotic, and House Escher supplies Ajax with countless horrors found out in the wastes, the depths of the Underhive, or born in their labs, all for the pleasure of the crowds. So, every Goliath, for example, in the fist, at one point has been to the House of Pain.
Yeah,
and if they're seeing the champion, they are watching people like Attilus the Axe just absolutely carve their opponents up. So imagine, being on the wrong side of an inter-house conflict where you see this guy that, he's enormous. He's mostly bionic from the waist up. His face, his head's covered in this almost skull mask in the form of the Goliath fashion, with almost a long bladed mohawk. And then you look at his arm, God Cleaver, that you would have seen kill hundreds, if not thousands, of people, including most likely other Goliath. During his tenure as champion, where he's defeated Sump Beasts and Chaos Spawn and all of this sort of nonsense. He killed the Spider Twins, Willowfex the Reaper, and the Slave Ogren Hammerstein. You know this guy's done this in close combat. He's used the stub gun to scratch his butt as he's stabbing an Ogren repeatedly with a chain axe.
I was going to say, do you think he's just occasionally just going like, I'm not down for this fight, and just like got his stub gun out and just kept shooting, and just till he eventually knocked down his opponent, and just like just put a bullet in him. I'm done. I'm tired today, guys.
I'm tired.
You can get your entertainment somewhere else.
I beat up a train earlier. It kind of took it out of me. But yeah, no. Attilus to me is almost I think he'd almost be a little bit of a boogeyman when it comes to the Goliath, because all Goliath love a fight. They all love the pit fights and all that sort of stuff, but this is someone who is so good at it that he's the best, and he loves it. Like,
I'm definitely on board with that. It's just that this is not just about maintaining your role as a champion or your sense of power and so forth. This would be somebody who would become more and more, I guess, addicted to the winning and then perhaps the killing as well. And it sort of harps back to what I was saying in regard to the the finesse work and the sort of, the subtlety that can be sorted out with such a large weapon. That honing that craft and honing that art. And I think the weapon itself is it defines the character, but it sort of, as you were speaking there about the read from the Apocrypha Necromunda, it reminded me of a scene within Flight of the Eisenstein where they talk about one of the Marines using a power fist, and then they have the capacity to have it as delicate as to pick up a flower. You know what I mean?
Yes,
it's not just about crush.
What was his name?
I don't know. He turns out to be one of the bad ones. I remember that. But that type of essence is the way that I would look at the way Attilus would be fighting as well. And not to say that he's ever going to be slightly just touching somebody with the God Cleaver, but I think the skill would be what would be recognised, and I think that's what would happen within other Goliath. They would know that
Solon Decius.
That's it. Yes.
Yep.
All right.
He ended up becoming the Lord of the Flies.
That's it. Yeah, I always remember he became naughty. That's how I thought about him.
Spoiler.
Now, spoiler. If you haven't read it, well, you should have. So that's the way that I could see Attilus behaving, is that the sense that they would recognise the skill of the Goliath. They'd be like, this isn't just somebody just swinging this weapon as hard as they possibly can. This is somebody, if they wanted to just tear away a few millimetres of armour or metal from something, they would be able to do that as much as well as like cracking through a bulkhead. So that sense of understanding the skill, and it's like with modern sporting celebrities. Sport is something that most normal people get into, Sam, that you're not really into yourself.
I don't know that word.
People, mainly our audience. Is that confused you again? But when you look at sporting stars and you see them do, like, obviously my passion is soccer, football sort of thing. So when you see a player do something, you're like, oh wow, that's within their capacity to do. That's something that's difficult for the everyday person to do, and they're doing it in the most high pressure, relentless environment, and that's the way Attilus would be viewed. So this sense of just taking on the fighter for the sense of being the fighter begins to strip away, and then you begin to have this sort of like idealism that goes around the character about not necessarily are they a good fighter and do they have lots of wins, but the skill, the nature, the capacity to have survived as long as they have, begin to encapsulate and create this almost mythic like gladiatorial figure, which I think is like that's the way I envisage a situation and go, wow, that's cool. Like you could see Attilus having following outside of House Goliath as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think he would be a big draw for the Unborn.
Yeah,
the ones who become Goliath. Mm-hmm. I can imagine he would be one of the big reasons a lot of them would come across to House Goliath, because they would see him and see the power that he he would ooze
He's able
this
to
power.
exude.
Yes,
he,
exude.
He has, yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. I think he would be a draw card that you could see the unborn coming across to, just to be in the presence of, or to be
Yes.
part of, or to say, that's my horse in this race. And other Goliath would probably shun them or whatever and just be like, you've really got to prove and earn yourself.
Yep.
But they're able to attach and link themselves to what I guess you could define as like the pinnacle of what you'd expect Goliath to be. And this is not from the gang sensor point of view. This is from the genetic changing and modification and all the things that go on. This is what you want out of your modified soldiers.
Yes,
And,
yes.
You know, like the way that Space Marines fight in close combat, they're just as delicate as they are brutal, and that's what whoever would be wanting to turn Goliaths into a full-blown army, Attilus would be at the very pinnacle of what the expectation would look like.
And I can just imagine if somehow he did come into contact with orcs, he would be very quickly accepted by one of them and would end up the knob of at least one squad.
Yeah, exactly. Gazgar, we found your replacement. But let's. You did mention the names earlier. The Spider Twins, Willowfex the Reaper, and Hammerstein.
Now,
Who are they? You give me a quick little idea of who you think they are.
so the Willow Twins, the Spider Twins, I'm going to say Ratskins.
Oh, right.
Yep, they're Ratskins, or if you remember some of the old N95 stuff about the Necromunda and 8th, the spiders, they were part of the Spider clan, so they're possibly also former Necromunda and 8th soldiers. Willowfex the Reaper,
Yep.
I'm going to say is a House Escher Death Maiden.
Okay, and you're saying Willowfex because it's Willow and Willow's linked to Buffy, and you're like, yep.
Well, I am
That's
now, yes. And the interestingly enough, the slave Ogren Hammerstein is actually a real person. It is based on Oscar Hammerstein, who was actually a famous businessman. He was a composer, and he invented a machine for making cigars. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I actually believe Hammerstein is most likely based on the robot from Judge Dredd. You know, the ABC Warriors.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Hammerstein was the
right.
leader of a group of them. So I'm guessing it's basically just using them. They were part of the ABC Warriors, yeah.
Yeah, right. Cool. I'd never thought about that, actually. Yeah, because I try to push bad movies out of my head. Yeah. Right.
You didn't like... No?
No, I didn't.
No. Tight
Slow
episode.
hanging fruit.
Tight episode. Yep.
That's quite funny. All right, we're talking about the least respected member of House Goliath. So let's talk about. Oh, I've got a selection here. I'm going to pick old Kill Fist himself.
Kill Fist. Perfect.
Yes, whose hand is never alive. Durgan Kill Fist, champion of the broke bone. Before the Great Darkness, little was known about Durgan Kill Fist. A rabble-rouser and an outlaw pit-fighter, his reputation was built upon what little information leaked out of the underhives of Hive Trazior, or Trazior, as it should be pronounced. Stories had Stories had him as a rebel leader of an outlaw Goliath gang, more interested in turning the Hive into their own personal fighting arena than doing anything useful for House Goliaths or its allies. In the mayhem that followed the death of Lord Helmore, Durgan emerged from the shadows to tame the cultist uprisings in the bowels of Hive Trazior. With an army of knuckleboys, he turned the tide in confrontations such as the battle for the Blistering Ways and the defence of Boneyard 9. Outcasts flocked to Durgan's banner. Many disenfranchised nobles, guilders, and even other clanners were drawn to the big man's powerful charisma and animal violence. After Trasior, Durgan and his boys headed out into the waste and came to the aid of Cinderak City during the first great Ash Waste nomad raids. Here Durgan made a stand in the broke bone fighting pits, opening its doors to the wastes and welcoming any challengers to join him on the killing floor. It was during this period of extreme close quarters violence that Durgan earned the title Champion of the Broke Bone. Goliath gangers from all across the waste praising his strength and fury. However, when the Overtyrant called on Durgan to attack Cinderak City and drive out the Escher, he once again turned his back on his clan, taking his outcasts and heading out into the wilderness. Now this is a Goliath character you can get behind. This is... Oh no, I'm not even being silly. Like, chose not to attack the Escher. That's automatic brownie points. Well done.
Yep.
Or in the case of Escher, some sort of leopard print point.
Yep.
But I think this character is sort of a bit more of an open window in terms of like what you can see from like a divergent Goliath. So when you take somebody like Attilus is really sort of follows a path and follows a mindset and a concept of what you can easily believe to be House Goliath. But Durgan being able to get, disenfranchised nobles and guilders and other clanners, from people from other clans, to be drawn to his cause, or to be not necessarily, I don't necessarily think maybe fighting for him, but certainly going, that's our horse in this race and we're going to back them. And if that means, fighting near, with, or just providing supplies, absolutely. And you think that kind of manipulation, that kind of ability to get multiple facets of the Necromundan society or structure to fight alongside or near you is a very, very difficult task, even for the most adept House Delark member. You're seeing this coming from a member of House Goliath, somebody who would be considered on the complete opposite end of the spectrum to trickery and I guess influence and I guess leveraging power. So this is that kind of Goliath that you're like, ooh, there can be a very, very tasty story connected to this.
Well, there's a few stories connected to this. So Durgan also went toe-to-toe fighting Longeronce. You remember when him and... what was her name? Surveillance?
Yep.
Yeah, Ozzy pops up and Durgan's just like, that's a pretty giant gold statue, man. I'm going to punch him right in the face. And then remember, was it Ozzy did the whole, he's like, stop. And Durgan's standing there, is like, well, this is a little bit strange. And then, yes, Ozzy basically did the scene from the Avengers where the Hulk just smashes Loki around a lot. And Ozzy's like, cool, all right. Gonna fight this enforcer gal now, and it's like in South Park, Durgan's getting up, wiping himself. Is like, I didn't hear no bell.
That's it. I remember. It's just like, come on, baby. If that's all you got, you don't deserve the planet.
Yeah,
step up to me. Yeah,
you and me about to tussle.
Barnyard style, baby, barnyard style. Yeah, no, and that's what I mean. Like, there's that sense of character and that's very Goliathy, So that sense of character about what a Goliath should be, that ticks the boxes there. But it's also the scenarios and circumstances that Durgan finds himself in, especially within the Aranthian succession, that you just kind of go, oh, this is like. You've got a lot of power here. You've got a lot of leverage. You just need to know how to use it, and he becomes across as one of the rare few Goliaths that is able to manipulate that power correctly. And I think, that further goes into the reason as to why there's outcasts following him as well. And I imagine the outcast would come across from all spectrums of House Goliath, not just the unborns or the natborns and stuff like that, the ones who are a little bit more sort of willing to listen to reason. I think this would have that almost cult status and that sort of leader. Oh, what are they? Cult of the personality or something like that. It's called
Cult of Personality.
Yeah, Cult of the Personality. Very much like Atlas, this would have that same appeal to people, where they're just like, you start talking, boss. We're going to start listening, and then whatever you say to do, we're going to do. And I can see Durgan is very much out for Durgan as well.
Well, I think he's very much out for Durgan, but it specifically says, he's a weird one. He's not a lot is known about him. He was a rabble rouser. He's an outlaw pit fighter. He's what's what I'm looking for? He's fighting against almost the limitations that House Goliath are putting on him. He's just like, well, I'm over here in Trazia. I can't be bothered dealing with the actual pits. I'm going to turn this whole hive into my pit fight. Yeah. And the Knuckle Boys come across, and it's just like, listen, I can imagine him going, this is the plan. Anyone who disagrees, and just draws a little line in the sand with his foot, takes a step back, cross the line. And every now and then someone had crossed the line, it'd be an Ogren or a particularly dumb Zerker or whatever, and he'd just do the big smile as he just pummeled their head into the ground. And it'd be like, all right, anyone else disagree? No? Let's diggity dog do it. Because it even says, they go out to the wastes, come to the aid of Cinderak City, and it's just like, yep, cool, all right, we're going to go to the fighting pits, open the doors, literally anyone who wants to come here, come on in. I don't care who you are, Goliath, Escher, Orlok. If a space marine came down, I reckon Durgan would stand there, he'd have that big old grin on his face, and he'd be like, let's diggity dog do this.
You're just a biggin. That's all you are.
Yeah, you're just a biggin. Yeah. And interestingly enough, going back to the Vaults of Temenos, something a lot of people might have missed is... he actually is sent to Temenos to assist Sir Valen and sort of find out about Ozzy. He's sent by Lady Hera. There's a read here. So when Sir Valen actually gets to the tomb, she was led by a ganger by the name of Lithia the Fade and the Silent Serpents, right? So who was a Dalark member, and they had an oath coin that Hera had given them. All right. Now, this part of the read here is about when Sir Valen sees Durgan. Gunfire thundered from the entrance to the chamber, and Credo was forced to dive behind the coffin for cover. A hulking Goliath with a spiked punching gauntlet wrapped around one fist lumbered into the room, smoke still drifting from his bolt pistol. Sir Valen recognised the brute as the outlaw Durgan Kill Fist, and beneath the grinning face, the glint of an oath coin hanging around his neck, like the one Lithia the Fade carried. It seemed Hera had sent more than one kind of ally to Temenos. And if you actually look at the model, this is something I love. He's got that almost like... dog collar around his neck, and it's got the metallic studs around it. But when you get to the center, there's a big silver coin in the center of it.
Oh, right.
It almost looks in the shape of almost like a small skull or a bird skull. I believe that's the oath coin that was given to him by Lady Hera.
Oh, righto. That would make a great deal of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
okay.
also, his mohawk is literally a chain blade. So
Yeah, I know. I love that. Yeah.
that's insane. I love
Yeah.
it.
But I think what I want to sort of reflect on a little bit more is the fact that he's a bit of an outlaw,
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
But the allegiances that he would be able to make with, disenfranchised nobles and guilders and so forth, and these elements of the Necromundan society that,
Yes.
don't necessarily need to hold any particular great allegiance to House Goliath. Those are the things that would help you cement and establish power as well. So
Yeah.
you could just, you got the back end of the guilders. If House Goliath come knocking, the word can get to Durgan pretty damn fast. And
Yep.
if it's like, all right, pack your stuff and move on, fair enough, he could do that. Or it could be, let's draw them into a trap. Let them really understand that they are up against a member of House Goliath, but they're up against a completely different strata of connection in terms of the resources that this ganger might be able to call, this gang leader, this I guess, almost akin to an over-tyrant in his own backyard,
Yes.
is able to draw on because of the nature of the fact that he's an outlaw and is using his ability and skill to create these connections and these forms of leverage with other parties that it almost makes him a sort of a pseudo-political character in the sense. I don't think he would be a political character. I don't think he would be somebody who would be vying for power in the traditional sense of, say, somebody like from House Orlok or something like that.
Yep.
But it would be somebody who could definitely understand the importance of having the right people standing in his court, and then that would lead to the capacity to create this little, pit-orientated empire. That
Yes,
just sort of goes,
yes.
yes, this is everything that we want. This is our Goliath utopia. This is where we can fight amongst ourselves. We can do whatever we want. And as long as we help out our brothers and sisters who are next door to us, they're going to protect us as well. And that, you could see, that's where we begin to step away from what the traditional sort of imperial rule is, and you begin to have this sort of almost free state thinking kind of mind of, let us just be as we want to be. And it would, when I say free state, it's not completely free state, but it's a free state in the mindset of what the Goliath would deem as like the perfect way to live. But you could definitely have other members and just forget clanners, but civilians from around Necromunda going, I want to live in that, because yes, there's a good chance of death and brutality coming from House Goliath, or this, outlawed House Goliath, but there's a great sense of freedom that can be achieved there as well.
But it's also a great indication of what you're saying there. All he really cares about at the end of the day is himself. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but Durgan cares about Durgan. Durgan has his knuckle boys, and he would be saying that the knuckle boys would be men and women from all clans, all houses, whatever. Like, anyone who wants to come, that's fine. Anywhere the knuckle boys are following Durgan, they are following him to have a fight. Like, at the end of the day, when the over-tyrant said to Durgan, you have to attack Escher, the Cinderex City, and drive out the Escher, he went, absolutely not. Everyone, get in your cars, let's go.
Yeah.
Like, he was just, nope, that's not what I'm about. Why would I put myself on the back foot by attacking an entrenched enemy? What? Like, it just doesn't make sense. That's not what I'm about. I'm here to, I'm here for a good time, not a long time.
And I think, I totally agree with that. It's just like, I'm here to make the best of it. But I think a mission like that is also very calculated from the over-tyrant. They're like, hopefully you die in the process. Hopefully, or at the absolute minimum, your forces are just woefully reduced, and you become an easier target or less of a thorn in my side.
Correct.
So it's very, very calculated, and it's probably obvious to all of those standing on the outside looking in, but within House Goliath, that would be considered some of the most highest forms of political espionage, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and the political espionage is mostly, hey, come here. Why? Smash.
Yeah, gotcha. Got him.
Yep.
Well done, boss. You are quite the intellectual rival. You are just. Oof. Yeah, so what you said? You said come here. Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Oh,
how'd you pull that one off? That's right.
phenomenal.
Up here.
And you smash them all, yes, to pieces. To pieces, you say. Yes, to pieces.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
And can I get you to do me a favour? Yeah, what's that? Can I get you to pass me that glass of water? No one commands me. And he just packs up and leaves. Like, what? Where did Durgan go? He said something about you making demands of water, and he left.
Yeah, he's not going to live in your Bolshevik system. Yeah. He's going to find his utopia where man can be respected.
Hold on. Where the hell did you learn the word Bolshevik?
I said, could you pass me that bowl of shivs? I could just imagine some highly intellectual Goliath just like having to cover their tracks every single time. Like they say something like, now I've just got to think of something idiotic to say in response to that. Okay, enigmatic. I said, I love to see energized Matix. And they're like, Matix. I love myself a good Matic.
Love me a Matic.
You're clever, but you're pretty dumb because Matics are never energized. Pfft, what a moron. He'll keep.
Weapon idea. No, Durgan. I really like Durgan. That was a good one. Yeah, you know what? I think you're right. I think he is possibly one of the very few Goliath who you could also actually say is somewhat of a career politician.
Yeah, I think so, and it's not through the normal sort of I want to get to the heady heights and rule this. It's just let me carve out my part of the world, please, and leave me alone. Otherwise, not just the Imperium, but House Goliath and all the rest of it, and just genuinely, if you just don't bother me, I won't bother you that much.
Yeah, perfect. Well, why don't we jump into another one there? We've had some pretty big names so far, and we've got 2 left. So I think I will jump into another one, and I'm going to pick Durgan Kill Fist. No,
excellent choice.
I'm sticking with another fist name. It's Gorshiv Hammerfist. Over the years, Doc Shiv has created some impressive specimens, but none quite as glorious as Gorshiv Hammerfist. The leader of Shiv's crushers, and arguably the most powerful stimmer to ever bear the title, Gorshiv was, and still is, Doc Shiv's greatest success story. If rumours are to be believed, the Doc made Gorshiv from the parts of a dozen failed experiments, grafting together bone and muscle before pumping it full of her own brew of genetic stimulants. From this success, other stimmers were created, though Gorshiv retained the honour of being the first of his kind. A fact he is more than willing to remind other Goliaths of when they get out of line, usually with an extremely brutal beating. Gorshiv is also fanatically loyal to Shiv, perhaps because she is his creator, or maybe because Shiv keeps injecting Gorshiv with her own blend of stims and growth chems. Their partnership has seen Shiv rise high in the ranks of the House of Chains, or about as high as a non-Goliath can, and Gorshiv himself became a role model for Goliath gangers everywhere. When Shiv first created Gorshiv, he was little more than a thug looking to make trouble. Now, years later, the stimmer is a towering murder machine wielding a pair of power hammers, especially designed for his massive fists. Particularly savage, even by the standards of his own kind, Gorshiv has risen so high as to gain notice of the over-tyrant himself. Though stimmers seldom become alphas or tyrants, Varan no doubt has big plans for his most brutal fighter. Now, we talked about Gorshiv Hammerfist during the Cinderak burning episode, and inevitably I will have forgotten some of the jokes I made about Gorshiv during that episode. So, let's be honest, here it goes. Oh, sorry.
Do you know what, though? I was going to say, given that they were... in air quotes, jokes that you made, probably most everybody else has forgotten them too.
So, firstly, the fact that Doc Shiv, that was really good, made him from the parts of a dozen failed experiments. I love the fact that she's gotten this Goliath who's just like...
oh, mate, that was a good one.
You're an idiot. I hate you.
That was a ripper. You got to stop with the humour. It's hilarious. You're a killer. That's another one of those classic Sam jokes. Whoa, well done. Sorry, go on, continue. Yeah. I'll try and keep it together.
Yeah, I miss when we used to read in the paper about mines collapsing.
Oh my god! That's funny.
Yeah, that was good. I love how she's basically taken this guy and Frankenstein monster him into just the biggest, angriest, shithead of a Goliath humanly possible.
Yeah.
And it turns out to have been such a success that she's just like, all right, I'm just going to make some more of them. And his name is Gore Shiv. She's Doc Shiv, so he's just the bloody version of her.
Yeah, I think that's sort of naming rights, Arkenland, who named the land speeder.
Everything was the land something.
It's that's all named after me. I'm the most important person in the Imperium, and excommunicatus. Done. Got rid of him.
But he, firstly, sidebar onto Arkenland. He was taking the piss by the end of it because, the land robot vacuum was really just him reading the box and being like, "I invented that."
Yeah,
I discovered that.
His land ninja juicer.
This is my land hula hoop.
Yeah.
What?
These are my land shoes. Get out of here, sir.
This is my land Rover. It's pretty good. Planets. It's double land. Yeah,
naming planets. So this is land.
So, anyway, back to Gorshiv Hammerfist. He's the first stimmer, but I like to think of Gorshiv. So, I want to talk about Space Marines very quickly. Now, if you look at Space Marines of the... let me go back even further. So, a Space Marine, right? No. If you look at the Thunder Warriors, they were the first experiment. They were very crude. They were basically just humans full of monster energy drink and growth stimulant, and just being now go kill a planet.
So they're basically. So I'll just chime in here with the Thunder Warriors, because I've read about them in this year, where I was just just sort of, I don't know, getting a little taste from. They basically took the worst and best parts of the techno barbarians and just went, let's make that into something that we can use against the other techno barbarians. You know what I mean? And so at the end, wiping them all out, is probably the best thing that could have been done. But yeah, that's just an aside to it. They actually were originally called Land Thunder Warriors.
They were the Land Warriors, yes. Well-known part of canon. But so they were basically what's what I'm looking for? They were very crude, for lack of a better term. Yeah. Now, as the technology advanced, and obviously the Emperor made the custodians, who were individually created pieces of art. Okay?
Yep.
Custodians are second, in my opinion, only to the Primarchs. And even then, most of the Primarchs. Then you have the Primarchs, and then you have, the first generation of Astartes. So they were that first experiment where the technology had been created and where the process was there, the organs were good, etc. And Astartes of that era could live thousands of years. I mean, the Iron Warriors who went up against the Hrud, for example, aged, in some cases, thousands of years or hundreds of years, etc., and was still combat capable, whereas Dante's like 1,200 years old and is, like I said earlier, a crotchety old man.
He gives it a go, mate.
He does give it a go. I look at Gorshiv the same way I look at the Astartes. I say Gorshiv is that first generation of Astartes. He was where the experiment was perfected, and all other Astartes, like of versions of Gorshiv, much like the Astartes of the modern era versus those of the heresy, are, in my opinion, cheap copies.
So what you're saying is we need a Primaris version of Gorshiv. That's what I'm hearing.
We need a Primaris version of a Stimmer.
Yeah, so something that's improved upon those very basic and rudimentary works that could only be done by somebody who has seen the Emperor's work and gone, I see the failings in your maths there. Let me correct that for you. Is that what you're saying?
Listen, you have put me in a position where I'm going to have to say something I disagree with. And so, yes. Yes, no, I agree. I personally do believe that the Primaris Marines are superior to the Firstborns, yes, but they are different. They're a different creature. They're an evolution. But I look at Gorshiv as the custodian version, or the heresy era Astartes version of the modern Stimmer, where they are simply derived from the process that created him, and in my opinion, they are lesser creatures.
Yeah, but I think also the other thing that needs to be focused on is that Doc Shiv still keeps pumping him with the stims and the growth chems and all this other stuff. So this is
constantly being maintained. It is constantly being maintained by the inventor. This is like Arkenland servicing your car every 3 months.
Your land car.
Your land car.
And there was, there's stories and reports within the 40k lore of Thunder Warriors that still managed to survive the Great Purges and whatever, and living off. I think there's one on Terra, and then there's
Babu Dakal, I think his name was. Yeah.
So, that's by basically stealing genetic material and organs and so forth. So, if there are any, or if there were any failings with Gorshiv, they're constantly being sort of papered over. You know what I mean? So they're constantly being the cracks are being sealed up. The issues with the genetic makeup are being fixed and adjusted and so forth. And all these things are coming together with somebody who's not just, like in the case of one of the Thunder Warriors, going, well, I think this is going to work because this has worked before. And it's not sort of like a bit of like hit and hope type science. This is Dr. Shiv saying, no, I can create something for you that is going to be ideal to fix whatever failing you might have. So if you're struggling to see because you only have one eye, I'm going to improve your genetics so that you can see better. Which sort of makes you think, like, why didn't she just grow the other eye back? But I think that's just a power move on Dr. Shiv's part. She's like, I can give you an eye whenever you want. I can graft you an eye. But guess what? I'm the
not
doctor,
going to. Yeah.
And you're the gore. I think the whole process is not necessarily that Gorshiv is this immaculate, fine-tuned piece of artwork, like you say, with the custodes or perhaps even the early day Astartes. I think this is something that is very, very much top tier in the construction, but does need that continuous maintenance to make sure it stays at a high level. Because if it doesn't, I think if Gorshiv was left in the hive without the aid of Doc Shiv or something like that, and it wouldn't be a short period of time. I think over a period of time, there would be some failings that would definitely begin to show through. There would be some issues showing through with something that is it's just something that is fundamentally just a genetic construction. And so all of that put into a normal human frame is probably going to fail after a period of time because it doesn't have the finesse of what you would see within Astartes. And I think it's the same within Space Marines as well, is that you would have apothecaries and so forth maintaining these Space Marines. Gorshiv is in the same boat as well. Now, after the fact, and I'm rambling on a bit here, but I'm allowed to.
Yeah.
I'm using the patented land microphone, so it can take this kind of punishing.
This is actually a patented land ramble.
Land ramble, yes, exactly. Not to be confused with just a normal walking about ramble. This is a land ramble.
Yep, land ramble.
Mainly voice based. So I think with regard to the rest of the stimmers that come along after Gorshiv, those become tools for tasks, So we begin to look at stimmers where they've gone, there's really good value here. There's something that we can rely on. Do we want to constantly go to a dock and have our stimmer pumped up and, kept going and so forth? And as a gamer with my Goliath gang on the table, I want my stimmer to stick around as long as I possibly can and get all these levels of experience and all this. But from a lore side of it, I think there would be some gang leaders who'd just be like, that giant slab of muscle is probably maybe just a little bit too hard to maintain. So as it begins to break down over time, they go, well, maybe it's worth selling on to the corpse grinders or the corpse guild or so forth. Or maybe it's just something that we can use more in the background, because to try and get the required intelligence and knowledge of a geneticist like Doc Shiv is going to cost us way too much money. And so these stimmers begin to disappear more into the background, and that's why Gorshiv becomes the alpha of those.
Well, okay, let me change my description on him a little bit then. Instead of saying Gorshiv is the Heresy era Marines and the modern ones are basically the modern era Marines, let's just say that Gorshiv, because like you said, he needs that constant maintenance and stuff. Gorshiv is a Formula One, and the modern stimmer is a Holden Barina. Let me try and internationalize this. Gorshiv is a Formula One, and the other stimmers are a Suzuki Swift.
There you go. Yes. Yeah. Very good. Yeah. Like very quick, actually not too bad in a rally, but fundamentally,
garbage in comparison to a Formula One.
Yeah. So this is, I guess the other thing we need to look at as well is where Gorshiv fits in within the hierarchy of House Goliath as well.
You look at someone like Gorshiv, where it specifically states, like, it's very rare. It's almost unheard of for a stimmer to become an alpha or a tyrant. The fact that Varen Gore, may he rest in peace, has seen Gorshiv and is like, I like the cut of his jib. Like he does that killy smashy real good. I don't like Doc Shiv. I don't trust her with her tiny face and her inability to crush a man's skull with her biceps. But I can't upset her, because if I do, Gorshiv's going to rip my face off.
Yep.
But no, the fact is he has, he's gained the notice of the Overtime himself. Like, Goliath gang are literally looking at him and going, he was just like us. And then he befriended the doc, and she jammed him full of like stem cells and Monster Energy drink, and now look at him. Like, he is ready to rock and roll. Like,
Yeah,
I
totally.
think he's almost like another one of these. I'm not going to say a political character, but I think he has a very an irregular position within House Goliath because of what he does.
Oh, absolutely. Like Attilus, right?
Yeah, much like Attilus.
Yeah, there becomes this sort of cult of celebrity, as I mentioned earlier,
Yes.
around the character, and so the notion of what Gorshif is something that other Goliath would look at and go, that could be me. I have that opportunity. Do you know? All I've got to do is find Doc Shiv or find some sort of doctor who is willing to do these experiments to me, and I can be just as dangerous, deadly, and notable as
Yes.
Gorshiv. But that's the issue. We talk about these special named characters because not everybody's capable of doing this. There's not, 100,000 different geneticists on Necromunda able to create their own Gorshiv, and that's why we have this unique scenario. But within the minds of the Goliath, I assume it would be, I still could be that person. I still
Absolutely.
have that opportunity if Somnus is in the right, arc, and, if the blessings are coming down on me in the right manner, and if everything's working out and all the planets are aligned, I could be the next Gorshiv. So that mindset, it's like when we buy a lottery ticket, we go, that could be me. That could be me. I could be walking away with X amount of coin in my pocket. I've just got to be in it. And that's the danger, I guess, as you go put yourself on the operating table of a doc who may not necessarily be the right one to do it, but there is that glimmer of hope of maybe this could happen. And this harps back to what I was talking about with, gang leaders taking their stimmers to docs and just going, well, this you will make us the next Gorshiv. And obviously it doesn't play out because we don't know about another Gorshiv. So this is that kind of notoriety that I think is important within gangs and houses. You need to have icons and characters and leaders that excuse the term, they're leaders, not leaders, but icons and characters that the rest of the gang house can look up to, or the aspirants and so forth, or even the enemies of the gang look to and go, that's the pinnacle of what House Goliath is capable of doing in terms of, just absolute ferocious warriors. Do we want to take that on? And you need those to create this, I guess, the majesty, but also the terror of what the gang is about.
So I was just thinking about if I won the lottery, between you and me, it would be the single largest individual sales day Games Workshop ever experienced.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'd just be like, buy it all, baby. What do you mean? I didn't stutter.
Yeah.
Buy it all.
There would be. I wouldn't tell anyone I'd won the lottery, but when I said we should do an apocalypse game, and we all showed up wherever we were playing it, and I literally had the entire chapter of the Iron Hands. Obviously, I wouldn't have a Primarch because he's dead, but I would build and paint the entire chapter of the Iron Hands, like.
Yeah.
Yep. And then every time a miniature was killed, I'd smash it with a hammer. I wouldn't care. I'm a millionaire.
Exactly. And you just have people working for you, painting these miniatures to replace.
Yes.
It's like,
yes.
And then after you smash, you're like, oh, actually, I think I passed that save. You better get cracking. Paint me another one real quick.
Yep.
It has to be identical because we don't want to ruin the
immersion.
The immersion of the game. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. But no, you're absolutely right. Yes, you're absolutely right. You do need those people in house gangs. Sorry, I went on a tangent there.
But you've taken me on a tangent. Have you heard the theory about when you mentioned the Iron Hands and Ferrus Manus, that the Legion of the Damned is like, that's their leader? That's their, like...
No.
No?
No.
No? Oh. Okay. Sorry for talking about cool things. You just keep making your jokes over there, Mr. Funny Man. Yeah.
No, I don't believe they're the Firehawks. The Firehawks became the Legion of the Damned.
Yeah, that's one theory. That's a bit of a dated theory. But anyway, I guess what we're saying with something like Gorshiv is, you know, a bit, like, say if you wanted to run him as a leader of a gang, yeah, you probably could. You know, if your campaign arbitrator was saying, yeah, go for it, right? But I don't think this is not the character to lead a gang.
Because he's a bounty hunter. He's there for fun.
Yeah, this is no Durgan. This is no Durgan.
No.
You know, Durgan's not quite a leader, but is still good enough to be. I think Durgan is more interested in the personal outcomes, whereas I think a character like Gorshiv is the one who wants to be running out there, creating the mayhem and killing and so forth, and not necessarily behind the strategy and tactics of the gang.
But he's not in charge of the gang. Gorshiv is the leader of Shiv's crushers. Doc Shiv. Doc Shiv's in charge.
No.
You are absolutely right. Like
in
what you're saying.
The nature of this character.
Yeah. Like she's in charge, and he's basically like her right hand. Like I genuinely like, and I'm putting a lot of emotional character development onto a Goliath here, so I apologize. I genuinely believe he would look at her almost like a mother. Like,
oh yeah. Yeah.
Because their relationship, the way they talk to each other in the Cinderak Burning book, he's very proud of what he's doing. Like there's when they're surrounding Cinderak City, there's a great little thing here. So they're surrounding Cinderak, and it's all going down, and Gorshiv Hammerfist looked out across the blasted ash plains and smiled. Hundreds of growling Goliath maulers, dozens of regs, runners, and crawlers of all shapes and sizes, and thousands of burly fighters greeted his gaze. Gathering this many gangs into one place had taken some doing, and more than a few cracked skulls. He saw Iron Lords, Bone Crackers, Forge Kings, Iron Tree Reavers, Knuckle Boys, and Dog Soldiers, to name but a few, and of course his own, Shiv's Crushers. Doc Shiv was even now tinkering with his chemrig, her servo harness hissing as she moved. Isn't it a glorious sight? Like a closed fist ready to smash into a face, he said to no one in particular, grinning as he took in the might of the House of Chains. Eh? Doc Shiv did not look up from her work. I said, isn't it glorious? Shiv took in the assembled host and the dark smudge on the horizon that marked out Cinderak City. Damn lot of fools, if you ask me. Even if you win, you think those nobles are going to let you keep any of it? Best case, they make you do all the work and they take your profits. Worst case, they decide you're causing too much trouble and kill the lot of you. Not this time, Gorshiv turned to look sourly at Shiv. Varen has made a deal with the next Lord Helmore. He says we'll be the greatest of all the houses. The bounty of Necromunda will be ours and ours alone. Shiv looked sad for a moment, like a mother who has to tell her child their favourite pet is dead. Angry Goat's dead, and so is Varen. Jangar killed them both. It's his mad plan you're following now. Gorshiv considered this for a moment. Not just that somehow Shiv was better informed than him, but what it meant for the clan house. After a few moments of consideration, he decided it didn't mean a thing. So, just quickly, he's like all proud and happy, and she's just looking at him like, you stupid child. Like, how do you not understand what's going on?
But both of us being parents, that first initial reaction when Gorshiv says something to her, and she's like,
Huh? Yes.
I did that today.
Yep.
I did that today. My son was monster truck. I did a spacecraft. I did what? Oh, monster truck. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes.
Goblin Juve
Absolutely.
decided to absolutely thrill me by showing me a pen he'd tied a piece of string around, and he was swinging it around his head. And I'm just like, okay, I'm literally under a house, and you're looking through a hole in the floor, yelling at me about a pen you've tied a string to. Like, don't get me wrong, he tied it really well, but the response of, huh? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That is 100% on point, and that's that read is beautiful because it gives you a true sense of what Doc Shiv is looking at. She's like tinkering with the rig, just going, I've got to adjust these chemicals. I've got to get. It's just like, this is a few mils too much. I'll bring those down, and all she's hearing is this nattering in the background of like, oh, you big truck, big truck, and a big Goliath over there. She's your axe. And crayon stash. Oh yeah, what are you gas bagging on about? Yep, just wonderful.
What? No, like that. We got rid of the crayons. Like, there's no axes. What's an axe? You made that up in your head. He's just okay. Well, that's my entire identity gone. Oh, well, time to go punch someone in the face.
How dare somebody steal my identity? I'm getting them. Yeah.
But to show something just a little bit extra about Gorshiv Hammerfist, this is the second time in this episode we're talking about rules, and I find it a little bit upsetting. But just to show you that Gorshiv is so much better than basically every other character. He has the special rule Implacable. Gorshiv Hammerfist is never pinned as a result of being hit by a ranged attack. Additionally, he is never moved as the result of a skill or weapon trait. No knockback, nothing like that. He loves it. You shoot him at range, he doesn't care. He's got a stub gun, but let's be honest, he's never used it in his life. And then
he has no clue what it actually does.
No clue. He also has the skill Walk It Off, which is just amazing. Should this fighter perform 2 or more move simple actions during their activation, they can make a toughness check at the end of their activation. If this check is passed, this fighter may recover 1 lost wound or discard a single flesh wound.
That's
literally just being
brilliant.
Like, whatever. We're good.
He's heard the term walk it off, and he's gone, yeah, I can do that.
Yep,
I can
that
walk
makes sense.
this off. Yeah.
Yep.
This will heal itself. Watch this. Just keep strutting, just keep strutting. Just like, I mean, it still looks bad, the gaping chest wound, but I don't feel so bad about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I've walked this off.
If you look
Smartest
at it,
Goliath going.
The blood spurts out every time that little flappy lump inside my chest gets bigger. It's weird. Whatever. All right. Mate, that's your heart.
Bust a skull.
What? Like, no, I'm not a big art guy. I don't know what you mean.
And then just beats the person.
And beats the person to death, yes.
How dare you look at my art? No, that's it. Gosh, if you're confused. How dare you?
How dare you accuse me of being confused?
Yeah. That requires thinking. Right. I think we should move on. We're definitely
move on to the next one.
Just criticising Gorshiv. So let us talk about Axe and Hammer, Scourge of the Spider Veins. He's much loved in the seniors community. Spider Points, Scourge of the Spider Points. A hero among the Goliath of the Ash Wastes, Axe and Hammer is the brutal leader of the Iron Tree Reavers, a nat born from Cinderac City. Axon was brought up among ash waste nomad raids and toxic dust storms. Even from his early days as a prospect, Axon's talents lead not just into killing outlanders and winning fistfights, but also working on the maulers, rigs, and runners of his clan. While still a member of the Red Road Brotherhood gang, he built his custom Cargo 8 from the wreckage of a Makeda Gelt Ridge Runner. Covered in armoured plates, spikes, and rivet cannon, he dubbed it the Behemoth and set about carving out a bloody name for himself and his gang in the Great Crater and beyond. Today, Axon is an adventurer and road warrior who stalks the spider points in the shadow of the Palatine cluster. He plagues the Orlok trade routes, so much so that the clan house has placed a massive bounty on his head and operates out of the Primus and Trasure for his Goliath masters. He also ranges far and wide across the great equatorial wastes. It is reputed to have explored the warrens beneath the cinder deeps, and even as far as the tunnels that connect the dust wall to the ruins of Hive Secundus. During the Great Darkness, Axon joined with Gorshiv in the attack on Cinderak City and the Ash Gates, personally scouring the spider points of Escher outriders. With the war between the clans just getting started, Axon is now turning his attention to the growing battle for Hive Temenos and the Saints' Wastes, the loyal brothers of Iron Tree Reavers at his back. So, good choice of read with Gorshiv before, because we've got a link. Yay! Segue.
Oh, and we went from Kill Fist to Hammer Fist, and then Hammer Fist to Axe and Hammer.
Yeah.
So Kill Hammer Fist Skull is my new my new Goliath gang leader.
Yeah.
Yep.
I personally think they've read some old dwarf or squat law.
Yeah.
And they're just like axe, hammer, good, muscle, punch, land raider, done. That's it. That's all we need to know about House Goliath.
And Axon also has the beard. It's literally a metal beard.
Yeah, yes, his giant metal beard. But so Axon is, and I've seen you talk about this recently, about the concept of what a prospect is.
Yes.
And yes, this is a wonderful success story of House Goliath. A young little prospect, just making his way in the world, just chipping along, killing ash waste nomads and, building things from wreckage and destroying members of the Vacated Geld.
Yep.
Just, it's actually like, what do they call them, the Hallmark stories or something like that?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is actually like a really nice, pleasant story. This isn't just about killing things. This is about somebody seeing the future and grabbing it with both hands and then headbutting it until it succumbs to his will.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was going to say, grabbing life with both hands and then choking the life out of it while smashing it with his enormous, metal beard, and then, I'm assuming, looting them and stealing their vehicle. He really is. It's a modern day Cinderella story. If Cinderella were a homicidal, genetically modified, transhuman murder machine.
Yeah, but also I think he would very much ally with the evil stepsisters as well. Be like, you guys are right. You get it. Just take down everything around you.
Did you say she had a glass slipper? Sounds like an Escher to me. Killer.
Yeah, killer. How dare she? You guys are all right as Goliath sisters. But to move sort of back to actually what he is within the realm of the game and so forth. So this is like your classic come from nothing build up to a Goliath leader. This is somebody who isn't like your Gorshiv or Attilus or whatever, because this is the normal. I say normal, but there's no real normal in Necromunda. But this is a more sort of, I guess, linear pathway to gang leadership and all the things you'd expect people in Necromunda to be aspiring for, which is to become a leader of their own gang or to become a champion or something high up the ranks. And it just shows that you need something more to you than just being able to punch things or crush things or kill things or whatever. Because, and especially in the case of House Goliath, it's not just about how well you can punch something. Axon is a mechanic. Beyond that, he's almost like a bush engineer. Understands how to rebuild and make things and so forth. And I think that's even exemplified with the way that he's equipped. I don't think he even has a close combat weapon. This is somebody
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, and that's pretty rare for a House Goliath leader-esque character who is, supposed to be showing their might through martial prowess and so forth. This is somebody who's rolling around with a bolter and I think it's a combi weapon actually, and causing grief, which makes sense for the type of character that he is, leading from the back of the behemoth. He's not going to be sitting there waving a chain axe at people and be like, listen, you climb up here, we'll slow down, you climb up, get up here, and then I will smash you. That's the agreed terms of your surrender. But this is a character you can see riding from the back of a vehicle, shooting and so forth. But it's not all the normal trademarks that we'd see of somebody within House Goliath. But I think all of those boxes still need to be ticked as well. Yes. So Axon's not going to be the type of person that, you could just go, I'll just go charge him in close combat and I'll butcher him because he, is clearly more interested in shooting than anything else. No, this will still be able to do all the base requirements of being able to smash your skull completely in, still be able to hold their own within the pit. But they're also offering something more, a lot more than what like an Attilus or a Gorshiv would be offering.
But I also love the fact that, like you said, he is that he's that Ashwace engineer type character where during I think it was False of Temenos, it was during Falls of Temenos because the pilgrimage was happening across the Ashwaste heading towards Temenos, and the Prophet's army, remember how they were just attacking anyone that wasn't part of them. Axon's vehicle, the behemoth, became like this meeting point for Ashwaste gangs. So they would all be like, it didn't matter what they were, like they were typically Goliaths, absolutely, but like these Goliath vehicles and trucks and all that sort of stuff, but even just anyone fighting against the redemption in this particular case were meeting up with him, and they were the ones, like they were the ones fighting against the cult that was forming across the wastes. And there was that great scene, was it there was the was it the Delark Doc that had lost his mind and was skinning people and turning them into tents?
I remember that.
And Axon fired a missile into this enormous, almost like Colossus statue of, I think it was Mung the First.
That sounds very familiar.
And the statue falls down and crushes this corridor ridge hauler. Like, you can just imagine, like, he's crushed it, and they're like, all right, cool. Now let's go loot it. I need the gasoline. We want the ammunition. Like, get everything you can, and then we're gonna get back out there. What are we going to do after that, boss? Same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world. What? I mean, try to smash some corridor. Love it.
But that's that kind of leadership aspect that you would have. These and especially in times like the Aranthian succession, you have these strong leaders that would become the focal points for a lot of groups wanting to just attach themselves to something that could hopefully protect them, right? And then so you may not have necessarily an inspiring or enigmatic leader in the form of Axon, but it would definitely be somebody who a lot of people would be drawn to go, that's the one. He's rolling around in this giant behemoth. He's causing grief. He's taken on anybody who doesn't apply to his method or idea of thinking. I'm going to follow him. And then this leader that is formed from Axon becomes something that doesn't necessarily need to lead in any particular or sharp or clever way. Just about like point in this direction and continue task. We go, just keep doing what we normally do. Just keep stomping faces and killing things and just being in charge of our own scenario, our own life, so that we can't be taken over by anybody else, so that we can't have the low rabble of Cawdor or, the underhandedness of Delark come across and truly upset what we're about. And I think it's a pretty good core to what leadership within House Goliath would be. It's about, and I'm going to use the term simple, but it is about simple leadership. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's very much about getting all your crayons lined up and pointing in the right direction. We want to do a task, and we want to do it in the way that we want to do it, and we want to ensure that everybody around us understands our might. And as I mentioned before, Axian's necessarily close combat might is not there, but his might is still there. You know, in the form of the behemoth, in the form of the presence he can bring. And we, as I said, we see that during the Aranthian succession, because we now have a leader who I'm assuming probably is not very, very keen on being tasked with the leadership of this rabble. But if they're all tagging along, just doing what he wants them to do, by all means.
Yeah.
Throw your weight in.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you're not House Goliath, we're probably going to get rid of you as soon as the situation comes better. Boot right off. We don't need you. And if you don't boot off, we'll shoot you with combi plasmas.
Yeah. No, 100%. Like, I think you've genuinely exemplified Axe and Hammer and the gangs around him, well, it's like forming around him. Yeah, perfectly. I think that's the smallest response, the biggest response I can give to that, because I agree 100%.
Yeah, mind you, he was riding around in a land behemoth, by the way.
That he was in the land behemoth, yes.
He had a massive copyright infringement. That's why it hasn't been spoken a lot since the Aranthian succession.
Yeah. He was a raider, and he was raiding the land, and he said, "This is my land, raider." And the one real power within the Imperium you don't screw with is the lawyers, because they don't just sue you; they exterminate you.
Yeah. Absolutely, and it's amazing that the GW would also have such powerful lawyers inside the game system as well.
Yeah,
just in case one of their own characters infringes upon their own copyright.
Yeah, copyright infringement. We would literally prefer you declare yourself War Master of Chaos. The response would be less drastic.
Yeah, exactly.
Abaddon the Despoiler watches someone in 40k doing copyright infringement is just like, oof, what this is. You know, Horus was weak, Horus was a fool, but Horus never claimed he invented the Land Raider.
Yeah, exactly. And the lawyer firm is actually Land and Land Associates.
Jesus Christ. All right, so of the 4 Goliath we've talked about tonight, what is your gang idea?
Oh, gang idea? I thought you were going to say who's my favourite. I haven't
that'll come at the end. That'll come at the end.
My gang idea is like guys who are muscled up, who like close combat and bolters and grenade launchers. Ta-da!
I love it. Well, I'll let you think of one, but I would literally base one around Axe and Hammer. So you might have heard about this little group in 40k called the Speed Freaks. They're a group of orc vehicle enthusiasts. I'm genuinely picturing orc speed freaks. Like what orc clan are obsessed with vehicles?
The Speed Freaks.
The Speed Freaks.
Oh no, is it the Bad Moon? No, Bad Moon's the yellow ones.
Bad Moon's the yellow
Evil
ones.
Sons.
Evil Sons. I'd call them the Evil Sons. But picture an Evil Sons warband on Necromunda, but made up of Goliaths, where basically, like, all of their vehicles would be these custom things. It's very Mad Max, but you'd have Axe and Hammer. You'd build up that Ridge Hauler, but you would, where all the regular turrets are, you're ripping them off and you're slapping on the rivet cannons. You've got chains up the side, barbed wire running around the sides, but huge, like, cow tipper style bull bar on the front.
Yep.
just up and down the sides, like walkways where the prospects would just be walking up and down the side of the vehicle, at 100 kilometers an hour, because, don't be a pussy. You need to get down to that second trailer. Go.
Yeah.
Real, like black thumbs, it is very Mad Max, very War Boy style. But, but around it, like, you would have the maulers and that sort of thing. But I want to say that you would want to customize each vehicle. So each one basically is, you just take a collection of orc vehicles, take the orc trucks and the orc, like, Dakar, gunjet, boom snagger, flim flam wagons or whatever they're called, and basically Goliath them up, replace the orc glyphs with just crude Goliath glyphs, and like pictures of people doing bicep curls, and but then you just have these orc style Goliath, and
that's cool.
But you'd have axe and hammer on the top of the behemoth, basically just directing like this horde across the wastes, and being like, we're not going after settlements, we're not going after this, we don't care about that. We want the vehicles. We want to control the highways. We don't have to capture settlements if we can strangle them without touching them.
Yeah. Not that he would think of it like that, but he would just simply go, if we can control the highway, then the settlements will come to us. You know what
exactly.
I mean? They'll come pouring out their need for us. Yeah. So that's really cool. Have you ever heard of a game called Gorkamorka?
Oh my God! It's literally Gorkamorka. I've described Gorkamorka. Goliath Maliath is what I would call them.
Do you know what? You're right. You do tell a lot of funny jokes. That Gorkamorka one was. The lead up to it was fantastic.
I've literally just invented Gorkamorka. Man, I'm cool.
You are cool. I just thought I'd get in there before the audience starts telling you through email or whatever, just going, excuse me.
Guaranteed at least one person is just gotten over screaming at their like phone or computer. It's like, you're talking about Gorkamorka, idiot.
Get him, Nath. Get him.
Get him, Nath. Get him, Nath. Someone who didn't know about Gorkamorka has just looked up Gorkamorka and is just like, oh my God.
I need to play this.
It's that, when you call my name, it's like a little prayer.
But I still think the imagery of what you created there of Axon standing on the head of at the front of a ridge hauler or the behemoth or whatever, like issuing out directions and so forth, I think that would look really, really cool. Almost like a command deck type thing.
Yes. You'd build a proper command deck.
Yeah, but the gang itself would be made up of, and we've talked about a gang like this before, but would be made up of grease monkeys, but in a very Goliath sense. Yes. So you would have Goliaths running around with like arc welder type materials, oxy
all
torches,
sorts of Forgeborn,
yeah, all this kind of stuff that is designed to either strip a vehicle or repair it on the fly. So you'd even have the guy with just almost like dreadlock looking type things, but like hydraulic hoses just hanging off the back of him. Just be able to just like, we've blown a hose, I can just chop both ends, quickly connect this up, turn off the pressures, clamp them, crimp them, move on to the next one that's down.
With diggity dog done. Yep.
Yeah, and then you'd have the fuel guy, and the fuel guy would just have like, the camelbacks where you can suck water from.
Yes.
But it's a camelback of fuel, and then would also have some sort of flamer. So just like use a bit of fuel, the Prometheus from the camelback to fire his flamer, and then feeds it back into the vehicle. So there would be this sense of like, what do you think the Goliath would think is rational and reasonable? And there would be this no-nonsense approach to it. There wouldn't be any extra fanfare. The equipment would be very, how you going? But it's supposed to be like that. When we take over the next vehicle, we'll make better equipment. We'll do better things. But for right now, we need to get this show on the road. So
correct.
We will take the bare basics of what we have, and I think it would be a really cool looking gang, because you could think about what exactly a a ridge hauler or like the behemoth would need on the go, and what needs to be repaired and so forth. Can it live with a destroyed tyre? Absolutely it can. So you've got nobody sitting there going, let's repair a tyre. That person's wasted, you know. But you would also have another person there who is just the ammo hauler as well, running ammo from one end of the behemoth to the other. So how basically your gang would be, what are all the jobs on the behemoth and how can I make them into a miniature representation?
Exactly.
Even the driver would be cool. Like just having somebody who's just, that would be like, but that would be very much like Mad Max and Furiosa in Mad Max. That driver role is just
the Imperator style.
Yeah, this is like, to be the driver of the behemoth would be just an incredibly vaunted job and something.
Axon himself has selected you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so that driver would have iconography of wheels, steering wheels, and all this other stuff, but would also just be clad in the finest looking armor. When I say 100%. Finest, like, yeah, it's not necessarily gold gilded or anything like that, but it's definitely a lot sharper and cleaner than the other stuff that's going around with the rest of the gang.
Okay, so I've obviously just ripped off Mad Max, especially Furiosa, for my gang idea. What legally distinct gang idea do you have?
So my gang is actually called the Land Pit Fighters. It's a real thing, okay?
Okay, yeah, and my idea.
I've checked with the lawyers. It's all good, and all of their shielding, plating, armor is either Land Raider or Land Speeder adjacent. Their weapons are land-based close combat weapons or land-based shooting weapons.
Yep.
And they basically attack anybody who infringes upon the land copyright. They are the strong arm of Land and Land Associates.
Perfect.
Yeah,
perfect.
No, I'm choosing Attilus to be the core of my idea, and this is a Goliath gang without being a Goliath gang. So what inspired me from Attilus was the Spider Twins, Willowfex the Reaper, and Hammerstein the Slave Ogren. Right? These all fell to God's Cleaver, right? So this would be Attilus being given an absolute stockpile of money and told, we have a job for you. We want you to go off and punch somebody, kill something, burn something down, capture the behemoth, that kind of idea. And so Attilus would rely on what he would know in and around him, and that is the pit. So those who are trying to prove themselves in the pit, because every champion within the pit is not necessarily fighting against Attilus. There would be different tiers and different levels of champions.
Yes.
And so there may be an Escher champion. There may be a House Goliath champion. So it would be just a mixed bag of characters that you could see different houses, and even like there could even be a Palanite orientated champion, so a copper with a shotgun and like a particularly powerful stun baton, which is not actually a stun baton, it's like designed to kill. So
it just kills with the power of electricity.
Yeah, exactly. So his power baton is just like zap. That was not 240 volts. That was 10 billion. Is that enough?
That's accurate. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So the gang itself would have a core crew of members of House Goliath. So would have Attilus leading them, and then 2 champions that are both Goliaths, because Attilus is not giving the normal champion roles or the left and right hand of his gang to anything outside of House Goliath. And there would still be other members of House Goliath mixed in amongst the champions, but there would be, this slave ogren who's accompanying them, who is working their way through the pits. There could even be, I see sort of like another type of character, let's assume like a House Van Saar, who's running a couple of servitors, and basically like got a little box controller and just constantly tinkering and figuring out best ways to create like sentry servitors. And then you would have obviously like the blade wielding sort of what am I saying? The blade, no. And then obviously you would have the Blade Master style Escher, who is all about flips and tricks and the occasional needle shot and so forth. And so you'd have all this tier and level that you could associate with different types of champions that may or may not pass through the gates of the pit, though they may be champions from other arenas. And so as they are, they'd be inclined to fight for large sums of money. So when a character like Attilus is offered a job, his manager or himself even is thinking, okay, where do I draw on? I can't necessarily always draw on House Goliath, but I can draw on these fighters that are coming into the arena. And I think that would be a really cool game to construct, because it would allow you just to mess around. And even if you just stuck to House Goliath characters, it would be exploring different types of pit fighters that, like, so the normal type of slave pit fighter of what we're talking about is, they're sort of deemed how they fight and what they are by the person who owns them, and says, okay, well, you're going to have a giant pair of power shears, and you're going to have giant chainswords. Whereas I think if you were to explore the idea of the different types of pit fighters, you could really go down some quite weird pathways with regard to the way that these members of House Goliath see themselves within the pit and what's their best fighting style. It might be two knives, it might be, some sort of man catcher, it might be all just a giant shotgun show with just dum-dum rounds in them. So this would be a really cool game to create, because you could start to think about how each character fought, and then you almost like sort of throw your points out the window a little bit. You're like, don't worry about them. But you could also, you just kind of go, cool, we'll create something that looks really cool. That's the most important thing. So a Goliath running around with two like chain whips or something might be a really awesome option. And this is where the go-to always seems to appear, is this could be a really, really cool Venator game as well.
This would be a Venator game, yes.
Yeah.
Very much so.
So you'd have Attilus leading it, but definitely all these different elements. And, it's like a little halfling pit fighter. How sweet would that be? Not halfling, rattling.
But you can just imagine I think he'd be a close combat monster somehow.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And it would all be sneak, and then kill. Yeah. So not even like a rogue or anything like that. I'm talking like potentially like chain fist sort of weapons, where there's sort of these little things that he can easily secrete away. But like chain, like knuckle duster, but chain weapon. So it's got like a rotating chain blade on the knuckle duster, and just punch, chop, punch, chop. That's exactly how it sounds as you're doing it. Punch, chop, punch, chop. So yeah, I think this type of game would be a really fun way to take a Venator gang as well, because you can have a beastman, but you use the beastman stats, but you don't actually run a beastman, because I can't see a beastman being part of Attilus's crew. I think he'd be too. No, I don't think he'd respect the abhuman.
No, I don't. I don't think he would respect the abhuman necessarily. But I think he would look at them possibly as maybe he would look at them as a fellow fighter and would be willing to look past what they are.
Yeah. See, I don't see it as that either. Like, I think there would be a purity about who we are as who we are as warriors, as soldiers. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, not as warriors, as pit fighters. And
Yeah, okay.
you don't fit the mold of what you have 2 arms and 2 legs, but they're not quite the same of ours. And
Yeah.
and when I'm saying beastmen would be the only thing. So rattlings and ogrons, yep, cool, no problem. I get how you work. Beastmen, nah, you're a bit too oddball for me.
Okay. No. I feel that. Like, I understand where you're coming from with that one there. Yeah, you know what? I agree. I agree 100%.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Thanks for your input on my gay idea. As always, it's always too much. I have to stop you.
Yep. All right. So, of the now, I guess 8 Goliath characters we've discussed there, who would you say is your favourite of the Goliath characters?
I'd probably say Durgan.
Durgan Kill Fist?
Yeah, Durgan Kill Fist, because there's a little bit more going on in that character. It's not just your linear Goliath character. So, yeah, there's sort of this idea that I want to be a leader, but I don't have to be a leader within the normal stance of what House Goliath demands.
Okay.
What about yourself?
I kind of want to say Jenga, because he literally went from the top to thrown out of a window, hit the bottom, and came back and is now king of the Goliaths again. But that being said, there's something about Durgan that just says to me, like, he doesn't care. He wants to show up. He wants to punch everyone in the face and or throat and or testicles and then leave.
Yeah. Well, it's like I'm the leader of my own gang, but I'm still happy to just like throw down and rumble.
Yeah.
And I don't need to get anything out of that throw down and rumble other than a rumble. And then if somebody comes at them and goes, well, you know what, I could offer you the world. He's like, no. I got what I need. I'm good.
I'm cool.
Yeah.
Like, you feel free, bro. But also at the same time, I'm fine. I'm really just here to like beat up that guy, and then I'm probably going to get some
maybe not
lunch.
even beat up somebody. Just rock up, cause a bit of grief. Just our presence enough causing havoc for the local population, and then just booting off. Just finding my niche. Yeah, so that's kind of why I like Durgan. To me, it's a character that's outside of the norm of what we'd expect from House Goliath.
Yeah, no, I love it.
No,
I love it.
Piggyback on my idea. Oh, another good one.
Yeah, well, finally I'm getting something out of you.
No. Oh, that's that humour again.
Well, all right. Well, it is late, and you need to get rest because, unlike myself, you have to work tomorrow, my dude.
I do. Yes, lucky me. What were we talking about? Winning the lotto again?
Yes,
Dreams.
Winning the lotto, and then basically just partaking in some sort of building an actual home out of Warhammer.
Yeah, exactly. I'd build it out of sprue. I'd buy enough plastic sprue, clip off all the miniatures, and then build a home out of sprue. And put it all together with sprue goo. And my first night in there, I'd have to be rushed to the emergency department. They'd be like, he's been sprue gooed.
He has become a sprue.
Yeah. Just clip me out of it, please.
Clip me out of it. I would have myself 3D printed into a human-sized sprue, and I would die happy.
It'd be great. Right, okay. Well, I will see you on the next one. And to all you folks who are listening to our shortened episodes, thank you. And we will return to ridiculously sized episodes in the near future.
Yeah, something ridiculous is on the horizon.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, just ridiculousness. It's coming. Just going to take a while.
See
All right, well, bye.
No. Whoa. We're going to quote? Oh, we almost unquoted ourselves.
I do.
Yes.
Comes from the House of Chains. And it's really an ongoing theme with the Goliath. But we've talked about it a lot. And I feel the Goliath are very similar to our episodes. Those Goliath might not live long, but they sure make the most of it while they're around. And that's Pale Jono, Dust Falls Scrivener.
Cool.
Get back into your mind.
See yous.
Bye, Scummers. All right then, Scummers. Once again, I am here by myself, but it is my favourite part of the show where I get to go over all of our followers on Patreon. Now, remember, if you do want to join this list and help us out and keep the lights on here, head on over to patreon.com/the Underhive Lorekeepers podcast. I do mention it every episode, but everything does help. It helps us keep going, and it helps us put money towards prizes for the ridiculous number of competitions we hold. We should probably do another one soon. But starting at the top, we have Bonestorm, Christian Boring, Bob Nolan, Zeke 10N, Craig Patterson, Chris Clapham, Stuart Duncan, Pagam, David Thrift, Luca Munda, Mike Wright, Tim Sandbrook, Grellin, Gregory H7, it's very funny, Mitch Cohen, Evan Widgeninja, Evan, Alex Larkham, Jim Bobley, VJ Patasapu, Pete Mills, Finside the Underhive, Dusty Cousins, Uruk Hayo, Fellraven 42, Mark Dewhurst, TW Modelars, Dragon Rager, Sable, also Dan, Greybeard Craftings, Kieran Maddock, Jaden, Frederick, Jake Alexander, John Roll, Darnell K, Brian Appelheimer, Maciej Majewski, Fritsch, Lord Stormcrow, Busenhofer Didier, Sean S, Dan, Brian Vickery, Kuba Strnad, Kuba, The Predator, Aaron Miller, Dashbow Terrain, Des Ryan, Tabletop Revy, Clive, Michael, Pete Gratrick, Mohawk Monkey, Stefan Salin, Sprue Whisperer, Josh Langworthy, David Code, Nick O'Time, Jorn Giebner, Brent, Tao Hansen, Drew D, Ben Hansen, JK, Nira, Not Richard, Josh Manning, Owen Bebb, Stefan, Heft Hats, Rick Lovey, Underhive Thalric, Owen Bebb, Sam Bridges, Stephen Livingston, Draknar, Rob Vanderpost, Frogenstein, Dewey Sherwood, Peter McGlone, Elusive Badger, Simon Hansen, Kilgore, guaranteed you are a Goliath player, guaranteed, CJ McClellan, Kenzie, Fabio Vorheim, David Lindsay, Mike Bright, Will, DC Liska, Gooka Minis, Yardi Scruntherder, Ian of the Endless, Painting Pyman, Procrastinated Painting, Vermin, Tuka Kaikinen, Family Geek, Triple Whammy, Dr. Fishy No. There's actually that many O's. Dean Richards, Matthew Barron, Josh Penfold, Ashley Kaufman, Ian Sinnott, Brian Shaw Saltbeard, the shoriest brine of a pirate ever, Charles Grant, Guillermo Castaneda, Lord Bobbington, Daniel Smith, Perp, Dean Richards, Ivan Bragg, try again Bragg, Ivan Bragg, try again Bragg, Matty Pugh, Morskull, Alex Hart, Clayton Curry, Tad Mercer, Philippe Sampson, Wargammer in the Dark, From Somewhere, Alistair Z, Alfonso the Trader, Simon Westlake, Chad Buttman, once again attorney at law, Lloyd Goldsmith, Jonathan Blake, Jordan of Great Scott Hobbies, Hive Builder, Tom Davies, Matthew David, Joe Bates, Stuart Wicks, Martin Moser, Ed Strickland, Mike Stewart, Whispering Fog, James the Week, Goran Sandstrom, Bo Stevenson, Nate M, Mikhail Levis, Kakuna UK, Dan, Josh Reynolds, Brian Byers, The Clown Grinder Cultist, Necro Macho, Samson Kelly, Samson Kennedy, Kelly Gator, Josh Reynolds. Because I say Kelly, Josh Kelly, Reynolds Kelly, Grant Train, Treasy, Sandro Knoblich, Dacamatic, Life in the Ruins, Nicole, Justin Hawkins, Michael Stewart, Patrick Winter, Bellum Malleus, Glenn Wilkinson Duff, Roger Range, Silent Key, Daniel, Jason, Jimmy Marshall, Rob Hacker, Gardner Seekins, Josh Branfess, Scott Lahaney, Axel1313, Eamon, Bo, Eric McKenzie, Boss Muppet, Tom Hoddle, Brad Gilliand, John Cochran, Sean Leary, Rob Knight, Joe Roberts, Craig Tuff, Jeremy Kay, Kaylin Novak, James W, Vote for Pedro, Chris Vasiliades, Adeptus Aquinas, Damien B. Winterburn, Jeff Nelson, Christian Jench, NetSurfer733, Alex, John Baisley, Brum, Sean, Dr. Toe, baddest dentist in all the Underhive, Ben Rayner, the one and only Lost Dog, Adam Kapczorowski, 3 Ogres in a Trenchcoat, Paul Welsh, Jason Turner, Gabriel Campbell, 50 Shades of Gnome, Amelia Ziv, Gildiz Ford Radio, Cygnus Maximus, Damian Davis, Adam James Bruin, Adam Hicks, Danny Harrison, Chris Batty, Poseidon's Kiss. That's also a joke about when you poop and the water splashes you on the butt. Jim Bulb, Luke Dyson, Trent Duncan Jones, Jengis, Pani Mauser, official librarian of the Underhive Lorekeepers, Michael Brown, William Payne, Tom the One Punch Orlock, Joe, Hivescum Wonka, Pylone, Tim Harrison, Harry Gregory Sump Mariner, Morbid Progeny, Hive Market Minis, Jason Skleena, Alex, the 108th, Morja 477, Dave Grant, Alex Adams, Overlord Bleak, Kieran Sweet, Barks, Ryan Taylor, The Tired Ape, Hotshot Grot, David Sodden, Ben Davidson, Jesse Barton, Simon Bizarowski, Hobby Jedi, and William Young. Once again, to every single one of you, thank you so much. We appreciate everything you do for all of us. And for the people who are listening this far and who aren't on our Patreon, I'm not angry. I'm furious, but also disappointed. Bye, Scummers.